I'd put a little video together to show you what I've been up to over the weekend. Now I am still waiting for that one canvas to dry, so I'm letting the gesso set up, and I'm going to put another coat of primer on it. Probably won't be ready to do anything until probably Thursday or Friday, which case I've been going through looking at images online, just trying to get a little inspiration. I might do something that's from the 1960s, a little bit of a vintage poster style. I might do something related to the RCMP, or I might do something that's a travel poster. I haven't decided at this point. So in the meantime, I decided to go ahead and do up a little video on some of the equipment that I used back in 2016 when I was doing YouTube videos. So I'm starting to get back into that a little bit, mainly because of the COVID-19 restrictions. So I'm pretty much stuck around the house. There's not a lot to do as far as that's concerned. With social distancing, you can't really go out and do much. So I thought I'd kind of stick around and put together a little YouTube channel. So what I have here is a Power PC, which is an Apple product from about 2003. It is probably considered a vintage computer at this point, almost a collectible. Doesn't make it special by any stretch of the imagination, but it was at the time the most affordable way to get into a somewhat professional editing suite. So back in 2013, I think I picked this up, or 14. So I've got GarageBand on it, which I use to create the background soundtrack that I run with. I do that for a couple reasons. Number one, it's loyalty free, so I don't have to worry about paying out anybody as far as putting a background track onto it. And because I've created it, I don't have to worry about getting flagged through YouTube and having a video pulled down because of audio content. So again, that's why I do it. At the time, I was doing maybe 2 or 3 videos a day, so it was one of those things that if I got flagged on one, it would be very annoying. So by doing this, I didn't get a lot of people calling up and saying, hey, you're using my music, because to be honest with you, it would be mine. It would be pretty straightforward on that conversation. Now, I would also use on this one a nice editing suite. Now, I used to go with the classic iMovie, which is for very simple stuff, kind of point and click, done. Not a lot of editing, but very easy to do a little intro at the front, very easy to do the credits at the end. So something very simple. And then I've also got up here a Final Cut Pro, and it's a older copy, and I find that it's very good, and it's something that I like to work with. It does take a little bit longer to render a project after you're all completed, or if you're doing things like animation, it does take some time. So again, I just look at it from the standpoint of the value it provided me as far as the cost involved, and it's a great way of getting some near professional gear, or at least get an idea if you feel comfortable with it by going out and buying one of these older machines. So if you're going to put together a YouTube channel, or you're going to work with something and you don't have a huge budget, this is a great way of working. Now, on my system, I also set up a audio board, which is a Archer, which is something I picked up way back in the day at Radio Shack. So that kind of gives you a little reference as far as the date's concerned. But it's 3 channels in, works really well. So it's something that I would recommend picking up. It allows you to control the level on an external mic, which is very important. So when I was doing voiceovers, something you could control with within the system. So again, handy little item to it. I have another track there that I would hook up to the computer, so I could actually put the background, control the level on that in regards to the GarageBand, and that worked out really well. And then I'd have another level out in case I wanted to add in an accessory of some sort, or if I wanted to attach my phone, which is what I would do normally, if I had gone ahead and used that as a portable mic. So I would put a lapel mic when I was out shooting. Some of my cameras did not have audio capacity, so they only had the internal mic to it. So it gave me another option there. So again, nice little feature. Again, very affordable to do, not a lot of expense to it. If you go with a full mix soundboard, which to start out with, you might have 12 tracks, and if you're a musician and you're going to have a keyboard and a guitar and a whole host of other things, different voice tracks, and yeah, it's not a bad idea to get into, but they get very expensive. So you're going with some of this kind of amateur stuff when VCRs were kind of king. It's kind of the one that I would lean towards if you're doing something very simple. Now, I did attach a keyboard to it, and back in the day I would do, I've got the big Panasonic, and I've got the big Casio here, and they've got a pretty nice little sound bank attached to them. So again, a good selection of instruments to go with. The drawback to them is they don't plug and play with my machine. So these are a MIDI control, so you'd have to get an adapter to be able to use it. And these were something where I would just end up hooking it in as a mic input, and then play it out, and then I would just add it to a video and behind. This one here I got off Kijiji, and that's going back a while ago. Nice little feature with this one is it came with a couple lessons. So I ended up buying this off of a guy down in Kitchener, and he was just upgrading his studio, and he was kind of a bit of a, I guess, a musician unto himself. Kind of had a cool little setup, and he gave me a couple lessons, which was great. So the value point on this one was, I think the keyboard was about $100, but once you factored in the lessons, it was really a good deal. And I'm by no means a musician. It's just I could just bang on the keys a little bit. So I'm not booking gigs or anything like that line. And the Casio I picked up because it's got a great music bank to it, and it was a good deal at the time. And I thought that would be a cool little thing to play with. That's the first one I got, actually. And then last November, I was working a deal on a used laptop through Kijiji, and the guy had a Oxygen 25, which is what I was looking for a few years, kind of the back of my mind. And this one is a plug-and-play item with GarageBand, so it's a USB input. It's kind of cool. Now I can use all the instruments with GarageBand that they have there, and it's just direct. So again, nice little feature to it. Again, not a lot of money because it's an obsolete piece of machinery. I think when it was all said and done, this was an extra $75 on top of the purchase of a used laptop, and I like it. Came with everything too, so all the cables and the manuals. Again, a cool little piece of obsolete equipment that is still functional, and I like to repurpose things. Now, mic setup, again, something very simple. I just built a mic stand out of I think this was a banana stand at one point, so it kind of gives you an idea. Don't have to spend a lot of money on that either. These are repurposed mics, and this is actually from PlayStation's Rockstar, as crazy as that sounds. But again, if it's good enough for bad singing and doing karaoke, they're okay for doing dub overs on videos. So again, these things are very affordable, and sometimes you might have one kicking around the house anyways, which is exactly what I had. So that kind of gives you an idea of the equipment that I'm using to put together some YouTube videos. Hopefully it tells you that you can get out there and do it yourself. Maybe you've got some of this gear kicking around. I hope you're staying busy and working on some projects on your own. Have a pleasant and enjoyable day.